All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling complementary and alternative medicine, or as you'll often hear it called, CAM. Now, this is a huge and, let's be honest, kind of confusing world. So our goal here is simple: to give you a clear map and a practical guide to navigating it all safely.
You've seen this stuff everywhere, right? Maybe you've had an herbal tea to unwind, or you know someone who absolutely swears by their chiropractor, or maybe you've just been a little curious about things like acupuncture. They're all part of this massive health world that exists outside your typical doctor's office. But what's the real deal with them? And more importantly, how do you use them without getting into trouble?
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, you got to understand that there are basically two big camps. On one side, you've got traditional medicine. You know, the world of prescriptions from your doctor, lab tests, x-rays, the usual. Then on the other side, you have alternative medicine. This is where you find things like chiropractors or homeopathic doctors who use these super diluted substances for treatments. It's just a whole different way of thinking about health.
So, keeping that difference in mind, let's go a little beyond the standard prescription pad. It's time to start really mapping out this alternative landscape.
So, just how common is all this? Well, the number might actually surprise you. 18%. 18% of adults are taking some kind of non-vitamin supplement. That is nearly 1 out of every 5 people. So yeah, this isn't some niche hobby anymore. This is totally mainstream.
You know, you can pretty much break the whole world of CAM down into 3 main buckets. First, you have natural products. That's your herbs, your supplements, that kind of thing. Then there are manipulative practices, which involve physical touch, like getting a chiropractic adjustment. And finally, there's mind and body medicine. Think meditation and yoga. We're going to touch on all of them.
Let's start with the biggest category of them all, natural products. This is where most people dip their toes into CAM for the first time. And frankly, it's where knowing the details is absolutely everything. So let's kick things off with a super common one, St. John's wort. I mean, you've seen this lining the shelves in the pharmacy, right? It's often pushed as something to help with your mental wellness.
People often take it for things like depression and anxiety. But here's the catch, and this is so important. You absolutely should not take it with prescription antidepressants. The interaction can be really dangerous. And the irony? Its own side effects can be insomnia and restlessness, which might just make the problem you're trying to solve even worse.
Okay, next up, ginkgo biloba. This is another bestseller, and it's almost always marketed as that memory booster or brain enhancer.
So yeah, people grab it for memory issues or maybe poor circulation. But, and you're probably sensing a theme here, you got to look at the catch. It can increase your risk of bleeding, especially if you take it with common painkillers like NSAIDs. We're talking about your Advils and Aleve. And this is vital for some people. It can actually make seizures more likely if you're taking certain meds for them.
All right, now for something I guarantee you have in your kitchen right now: garlic. And nope, not just for cooking. It's also sold as a concentrated supplement that makes all sorts of health claims. People often take it for a high blood pressure or high cholesterol. But, and this is a big but, if you are on a prescription blood thinner like warfarin, a garlic supplement can seriously increase your bleeding risk. And what if you're already on blood pressure medication? Well, adding garlic could make your pressure drop to dangerously low levels.
Okay, we've talked a lot about what comes in a bottle, but CAM is so much bigger than that. Let's shift gears and look at the practices that involve the mind, the body, and the power of touch.
And just look at the variety here. It's pretty amazing. On one hand, you have practices that are completely internal, like meditation and yoga, all about finding calm and flexibility. And on the other hand, you've got these very physical, hands-on therapies like spinal manipulation from a chiropractor, focusing on the body's structure to make it work better.
And then you've got acupuncture and acupressure. Now, both of these are built on a similar idea, that you can unblock the body's energy channels to help with things like chronic pain. The main difference really comes down to the tool. Acupuncture uses those superfine needles, while acupressure just uses firm, targeted hand pressure to do the job.
So we've seen the potential upsides of these different therapies, but now we have to talk about what is, without a doubt, the most critical piece of this puzzle, the hidden risks. And we need to get past this idea that natural automatically means safe, because it just doesn't.
Listen to this. This quote comes from a pharmacy instructor, and it just nails the issue perfectly. A natural product, it might be totally fine if you're taking it all by itself, but the moment you start mixing it with any other medication, that's when you have a problem, a big one.
And look, this is not a what-if scenario. These are specific, known dangers. We already talked about how garlic and ginkgo can mess with your meds, but look at ginseng. It can make a blood thinner less effective, which is just as dangerous. This is a huge wake-up call that natural has to be treated with the same caution as pharmaceutical.
Okay, if you only remember one thing from our entire conversation today, please make it this. The single type of drug with the most unwanted, dangerous interactions with herbal products is anticoagulants. We're talking about blood thinners. Mixing herbs with these drugs can create an incredibly high risk for serious, even life-threatening bleeding.
So what do we do with all this information? It's not about being scared and avoiding these things completely. Not at all. It's about being a smart consumer, a safe consumer. It's about remembering that your health is a team sport.
And it really comes down to a simple 3-step plan. First, understand the product. Know its uses and know its risks. Second, check for interactions. Are you taking any other medications, even over-the-counter stuff? And third, and this is the absolute non-negotiable golden rule, talk to your team. Tell your doctor and your pharmacist everything you are taking. Every pill, every herb, every supplement, every tea. They can only protect you from the problems they know about.
And that really brings us to the final question. When you think about it, making sure traditional and alternative approaches work together safely, it means realizing the future of your health isn't just in your doctor's hands, it's in yours. It's about the questions you're willing to ask and the information you're willing to share. So, what does that future look like for you?